All right, hello everyone. If you're a researcher, your work is all about representing others. But how do you do that ethically? Today, we're diving into the ethics of representation. Think of this as a guide for navigating the profound responsibilities that come with telling someone else's story.
These are, without a doubt, the most fundamental questions you have to ask yourself before you even begin. Every qualitative study you do, every interview, every oral history, it all hinges on this dynamic. Who has the authority to tell a story, and who becomes the subject of that story?
Let's start with this crucial truth. Every choice you make, from the questions you ask to the quotes you end up selecting, carries political weight. It can challenge power structures, or, if we're not careful, it can end up reinforcing them. This understanding, right here, this is our starting point.
Okay, so let's really dive into this by understanding the power dynamics that are at play in every single research project. It is absolutely impossible to separate our work from the world it exists in.
Remember, your work doesn't happen in a vacuum. Broader social hierarchies, academic traditions, they shape everything, from who you decide to recruit all the way to how you interpret their stories. You have to be aware that your methods can, sometimes inadvertently, reproduce the very inequalities you're trying to understand. Now, this self-awareness in research, it didn't just come out of nowhere. It's built on these incredibly powerful critiques from feminist, post-colonial, and indigenous scholars. They're the ones who've shown how traditional research has so often silenced or just plain misrepresented the experiences of non-dominant groups. Their work demands that we move beyond just ticking boxes on an ethics form and start asking deeper questions about our social accountability. So, how do all these big ideas apply in practice? Let's zoom right in on the human core of your work, your direct interactions with participants out in the field. This is where ethics gets really personal. Informed consent has come a long way from where it started in biomedical research. See that old model, a one-time signature on a form? It just doesn't work for qualitative studies where themes pop up and evolve as you go. We have to adopt what's called process consent. Think of it as an ongoing conversation, a negotiation that respects your participants' autonomy throughout the entire project. But consent isn't always just an individual thing. The work of scholar Linda Tuiwai Smith shows us that many indigenous communities have protocols that go way beyond the individual. They require collective, community-level approval. A Western-centric focus on just getting one person's signature can completely fail to respect these deeply held cultural values around sharing knowledge. Your duty of care goes so much further than just physical safety. As Arthur Kleinman's work really demonstrates, a question that seems simple to you can trigger traumatic memories for someone else. You have a profound responsibility to monitor for psychological distress and to respond with genuine care, always recognizing that your research can have a lasting impact on a person's life. Okay, so you've gathered your data ethically. Now what? Let's talk about the analysis, and let's challenge that old myth of perfect, neutral objectivity. Instead of pretending to be some detached, neutral observer, your goal should be what Sandra Harding calls strong objectivity. Now, this framework argues that by being transparent about your social position, your experiences, your theoretical commitments, you actually enhance the quality and trustworthiness of your research. It makes it better. And this fits perfectly with Donna Haraway's concept of situated knowledge. It's this idea that knowledge is never universal. It's always produced from a specific vantage point. Acknowledging your situation, your particular perspective, isn't a weakness to be overcome. It's an ethical and an intellectual necessity. So how do you actually do this in practice? Well, you start by mapping your own positionality. Then you practice reflexivity, which means constantly asking how your perspective is shaping your work. And crucially, you maintain an audit trail, a clear documented record of your decisions that allows other people to trace your path from the raw data to your final conclusion. Mapping your positionality means asking yourself some pretty tough questions. Using an intersectional framework, like the kind developed by Patricia Hill Collins, really helps you understand how all your various identities, your race, your class, your gender, your academic training, how they all combine to create a unique social position that will absolutely influence your research. All of this leads to a really fundamental question about the purpose of our work. Who does it truly serve? This is all about shifting our entire mindset from taking information to collaborating in the creation of knowledge. So let's compare two models here. The traditional, extractive model treats participants as subjects, and it mostly serves academic priorities. Knowledge flows one way. In stark contrast, you've got participatory action research, or PAR. This flips the script entirely, positioning community members as co-researchers. The work is designed to serve what the community identifies as needs, and knowledge is co-produced as a real partnership. Indigenous methodologies offer another incredibly powerful alternative. As Sean Wilson explains in his book Research as Ceremony, these frameworks aren't just about methods, they are about relationality. They demand that researchers prioritize reciprocity, responsibility, and a real long-term commitment to the community's well-being, not just their own publication goals. Finally, let's consider the long-term consequences of our work, because once you publish something, that story is no longer private. So what is the legacy that you are creating? Nancy Shaper Hughes' groundbreaking ethnography, Death Without Weeping, is a powerful and complicated case study. It brought vital global attention to the suffering of mothers in a Brazilian shantytown. But it also raised these profound ethical questions. Did the women truly consent to their stories being shared so widely? And did the book, despite its good intent, end up reinforcing negative stereotypes? It just highlights the immense benefits and the grave risks of what we do. And this brings us to this key concept of academic extractivism. It's a critique of research that takes knowledge from a community, often a marginalized one, primarily for the benefit of the researcher's career, without returning equitable value. You have to constantly be asking yourself whether your work is challenging or maybe unintentionally reproducing these colonial power dynamics. And our responsibility is now amplified by technology. In the digital age, simply changing someone's name is not enough to guarantee anonymity anymore. Digital archives create permanent, searchable records. We have to think about the fact that future technologies could re-identify our participants in ways we can't even imagine today. Our ethical duty extends far into this uncertain digital future.
So the ultimate takeaway is this. Ethical practice is not some bureaucratic hurdle you have to clear or a constraint on your work. It is the very foundation of good, rigorous, and meaningful research. The two are completely inseparable.
And so I'll leave you with this question to carry forward. In a world of permanent digital archives and technology that's constantly evolving, ensuring the long-term protection and respectful representation of your participants' stories, well, that is the great ethical challenge for your generation of researchers. And it's one that's going to require your constant vigilance, your creativity, and your care.